Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to Gish Gallop Girl. Um, so we explained the name change from Please Only One Lie at a Time to Gish Gallop Girl. So here we are now in episode 8. I am your main host and researcher here, Thomas Anderson, and with me is
Matthew Anderson.
Wait. All right, we got it right for once. We fucking got it right.
Yep.
Okay, so it has actually been many, many months since we recorded episode 6, but we did episode 7 last week, and that was explaining the name change. So here we are now, back into the material. We're going to start this first hour with Blackout Chapter 1, Part 2, which is a bit of a prequel, actually, to what we previously covered many months ago in episode 6. And I'll explain why we're doing that in just a moment, but is there anything you want to update everybody on?
Nothing that I can think of. I do know we got into politics about Star Wars for some reason near the end of last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we saved the soda for last. But we are on our last one of the WT Heck though.
Yeah, and that'll be covered later. I don't want to give the name of that up just yet. Okay, so let's dive in. Okay, so after much consideration, I've decided to backtrack us a wee bit on chapter 1 of this book, Blackout. I never really want to delve into Candace's life more than necessary, but there's stuff in here that I feel the need to call out, and it's been long enough since I was really in the groove of it all that I need to get kind of through it too. So I will try not to rehash material we covered in the first episode of Chapter 1, but I'd like to remind the audience that this chapter has no notes in the back of the book, and the book has no bibliography section, and my main kitty has decided to join us in here. She's always welcome. So, yeah, sounds like she's got opinions too. Anyway, in this book, Candace tells us that, quote, I was 9 years old when my paternal grandfather showed up at my childhood home and upended my life as I knew it. Up to that point, it was the custom for my 3 siblings and me to visit my grandparents' home on the weekends. They lived in a middle-class neighborhood in Stamford, Connecticut, in a home that was well-kept and comfortable. We loved our weekend visits because they had a yard that we could run around and play in, and where my grandfather could teach us to ride bikes down their long driveway. It was nothing like our home. As a family of 6, we lived across town in a small 3-bedroom apartment within a run-down, roach-infested building. Living among a cluster of impoverished residents meant that fistfights, police visits, and drama were commonplace. I am told that this is what inspired my grandparents to insist that our entire family move in with them, a fear that their offspring might become that of their surroundings. And so in short order, we were whisked away from the instability of our neighborhood into an environment that would more properly fertilize our futures. In retrospect, this move across town was one of the greatest blessings of my life. It gave me my first real chance to choose something different. I didn't know it at the time, but this would come to represent my earliest introduction to conservatism. Now, due to research I had to do later on in this chapter, I learned that it's not nearly as simple as Candace makes it out to be, because it never really is. Candace's family moved because her parents divorced, and her father managed to get major custody of her and her siblings since they could move into the grandparents' home in a nice neighborhood. From what I could learn as well, she did see her mother regularly, but the entire family was not whisked away. The father and kids were. I didn't do much looking into Candace's mom or what caused the divorce and so on, as I felt all of that was pushing too far. Now, if Candace brings it up at some point and I feel the need to fact check it, we'll delve into that stuff. But for now, that's the actual first lie told in this book. Moving on, the next section is titled Planting the Seeds of Conservatism. My grandfather was born in 1941 on a sharecropping farm in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Born into the segregated life of the Jim Crow South, his childhood was shaped by work and routine. He took on his first responsibilities when he was just 5 years old. It was his task to lay the farm's tobacco out to dry in an attic. He tells me today that he would complete this task at the crack of dawn before the blistering Carolina sun could make the prospect unbearable. He was one of 12 children, and everyone had a job to do. His father, my great-grandfather, was a notorious philanderer who would leave his wife and children intermittently to live with his mistresses. His actions placed a further strain on his family financially and pressure on his many sons to step up and take responsibility. The burden forced my grandfather to become a man at a young age. In one instance, still just a young teenager himself, my grandfather decided to show up at the home of his father's mistress. He there confronted his father, telling him that he needed to return home to his family and take care of his responsibilities. Watching his mother and siblings suffer from the dishonorable behavior of a man formed immutable elements of my grandfather's character. He made the decision then that when the time came, he would become the man his father never was. One day he would prioritize his family above all else. And indeed he would. There is no doubt that my grandfather experienced real racism in his childhood. In the 1940s segregated South, the domestic terrorism of Democrat Ku Klux Klansmen was part and parcel of the Black American life. I should pause here to explain why I refer to them as the Democrats' Klansmen, since in the elaborate rewriting of their own history, the party has attempted to disassociate themselves from the KKK. Now, it's at this point that I can refer listeners back to our previous episode, number 6, on this chapter, where I took on some of Candace's claims about the Democrat Party and the Klan working hand in hand. But to sum up, as she repeats ad nauseum throughout her career, and as I'll say as often as I have to, the Klan was formed by Democrats, but Democrats did not direct the Klan any more than modern Republicans can reasonably said to direct the actions of the Michigan militia and Timothy McVeigh in the Oklahoma City bombing of the Murrah Federal Building. Some threads are tenuous at best. Now, that all being said, a number of Democrats in the South would be Klan members over time, but again, the Democrat Party cannot be proved to have had any more connection than that to the Klan. That said, Republicans have been Klan members as well as members of other supremacist movements. Moving on. As I said in the last episode, the Klan did experience a rebirth as a pyramid scheme / MLM corporation, which is how it exists still today. Candace goes on to say, it was this rebirthed Klan that my grandfather was made to contend with in his youth. What is remarkable, though, is the manner in which my grandfather recounts his dealings with them. My grandfather tells me that Klansmen did not like my great-grandfather. At night, the riders would visit their home and spray bullets through the window. My grandfather says the children would run to the back of the home and hide under the bed. Quote, and my daddy would grab the shotgun and shoot back at them boys, he recalls. Though it would be wrong to state that he looks back upon these moments fondly, it is correct to say that he reflects upon them with pride. Not with bitterness or anger, but pride. I regard his referring to the Klansmen as boys as a Freudian slip and a powerful degradation of their desired legacy. My grandfather's memory renders them powerless against his father's fearlessness. Is it not peculiar that those who lived through such evil can speak of those times from a position of such strength, while those who lived not a day of it choose to bemoan it with such cowardice? Now hold on. Did you catch it?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. What did you catch?
Okay. So, times of... What was it, times of such evil portion? Or was it the looking upon it with pride?
No, for me, it is. In all the action of this, it's easy to miss what just happened because I had to explain all the other stuff. Candace talks at the top of this chapter about how her grandfather had to be a man at a young age and how his father was a no-account man that ran around on his wife constantly.
Okay, yeah.
But then the Klan gets mentioned, and all of a sudden, great-grandpa is shooting back at Klansmen and protecting his family. Okay, now people contain multitudes, but what also got me in this section was that on my first read of it, I thought she might have been somewhat apologizing for her grandpa referring to the Klansmen as boys. But having lived in the South most of my life, I can tell you that boys is a pretty common term for a group of males. Sometimes it's derogatory, mostly it isn't. Candace seems to see it as a Freudian and derogatory slip of some kind, but she has a lot of nerve, I think, in slagging her great-grandpa early in the book for messing around with various lovers and then calling him fearless here. Moving on to the other problem I have personally with this whole section, her contention that people who lived through such violence speak of it from a position of strength while modern people are somehow seen as cowards by her, really says a lot about how she sees the world. I've listened to a lot of Candace, and I shudder at the fact that I will be listening to much, much more of her. But she definitely does seem to think that modern racism, police violence, systemic racism, and any other forms, if they aren't outright brutal hangings, shootings, etc., just don't matter. What she seems to fail to see is that at an early age, she and her siblings were pulled out of a bad situation and put into a better situation where they would not grow up to be teens in an area where they could be preyed upon, inducted into gangs, or worse. She probably doesn't see police violence much at the age of 9, if her and her siblings were frequent visitors to their grandparents' house, spending their free time literally anywhere but a bad neighborhood. Saying they were thusly sheltered and then moved out of it is probably the easiest way to say it, but that outlook of, I didn't see it and it didn't happen to me, so anything outside of my view is false, really seems to sum up her worldview.
Mm-hmm.
I often make the statement, she says, quote, I often make the statement that liberalism is a symptom of remarkable privilege. In times of true injustice, no one debates gender pronouns and microaggressions. In times of real conflict, no one demands the government come take their guns. This was especially true for Black Americans in the segregated South during a time when engaging in any inappropriate behavior, hanging out in the streets past dark, public intoxication, using a facility not designed for your skin color, could amount to more than just embarrassment. It could amount to death. Conservatism, then, is about sense and survival. Leftism is the plaything of a society with too much time on its hands. Now, there's an incredible amount to push back on here, and it's why we're doing this. I just read one paragraph of the kind of crap she blurts out on her programs, and it's a fine example of the Gish Gallop. But the crux of her argument is that the time now, due to desegregation, is not as bad as it was then, so people should just shut up, society is fine, nothing to see here, move on. That's really the problem. Candace may or may not be a paid voice for the people at the heart of the modern neocon and neo-Nazi MAGA movements. For my part, I don't think she is. I think she is useful to them, and she's certainly paid for in various ways. But in this book, her full mentally compromised state is on full display. I have no doubt that Candace either wrote this stuff herself or dictated it. So yes, back to the point I believe she's trying to make, this isn't the 1950s anymore, so what is anyone worried about? Go ahead. You have thoughts?
Yeah, plenty. When was this book written again?
2020.
Pre or post pandemic?
Right before it. Remember, she had a speaking tour set up for this that
Yeah.
she couldn't do.
Yeah.
I'll go on with what I wrote.
Mm.
The fact is, the MAGA engine seems to thrive on the idea of bringing not just the 1950s back, but making sure they can't be progressed from again. People fighting the modern conservative and or MAGA movements are trying to make sure that doesn't happen like that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's not the 1950s anymore. So
Yeah.
there's no problems.
That-
So we should make it the 1950s again.
Yeah.
Because there were problems.
No. There were no problems for white folks.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
White folks could go eat anywhere. They could go to a black lunch counter if they wanted to.
Yeah.
They had all the police.
Mm-hmm.
They had most of the power.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It was great if you were white.
Yeah. If
I feel like there's a South Park song in there somewhere, but, you know.
I think Eric Cartman's got one somewhere.
At least. So, then she goes on to say, my grandfather was 16 years old when he took a trip up north to Connecticut. Now, also, for those of you in Connecticut, I'm sorry, but fuck your state for being pronounced that way and being spelled Connecticut. Spell check kept tripping my ass up while I was writing. Connecticut. But we can't say it as Connecticut. No one does that. It's like saying Wednesday. We don't do that shit.
Or Arkansas.
We can't give the British any shit now. You know that, right? For Worcestershire and shit like that.
Yeah.
We can't give them any shit. We have our own shit that we don't say right, that's spelled in a certain way that we look at. We look at the fucking letters.
Like Arkansas.
Yeah, Arkansas. Yes, that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah. Moving on. My grandfather was 16 years old when he took a trip up north to Connecticut. He met my grandmother, then phoned his father to say that he wouldn't be coming back home. They married at 17 years of age. Now, her grandpa, a miner, looking after the affairs of his family in North Carolina, went to Connecticut, met a woman, and called home to say he was ditching out, choosing to leave his responsibilities behind, it could be argued. Now, the man made his choices, and they were probably better than staying where he had grown up, especially if dodging clan violence was a thing he had to deal with, along with a father that was unaccountable, and working as a sharecropper, which is just a few steps away from slavery, to be honest.
Don't forget also nightly shooting Klansmen.
Well, I mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was both tough and easy choices, depending on outlook. So, that catches us back around. Mm-hmm. When we get back into the next week, we're going to move forward from there in the book. Any thoughts?
Well, it's the 1950s portion that's still getting me.
Well, that's what they mean when they say "Make America Great Again." They mean "Make America the 1950s again."
Okay.
Because they want to roll back. Okay, right. This is part of the stated goals. They want to get rid of any kind of legislation that protects gay and trans people, or anyone else in the vast rainbow spectrum. Okay. They want to eliminate Social Security. They actually want to go back prior to the 1950s because Social Security predates the 1950s. Yeah. They want to eliminate Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
Okay.
They also want to, getting rid of interracial marriage has been floated. Mm-hmm. But where that's messed up is the wife of one of the current sitting assholes on the Supreme Court, Clarence Thomas, his wife is white.
And he's a black man.
He's very black, yeah.
Okay.
But all his buddies are white, including one that he vacations on the yacht of, frequently known as Harlan Crow.
Okay. That's gotta be an awkward position for him.
Well, you would think so. But I've long posited that anyone in his position who would think about that isn't in a great marriage to begin with.
Fair enough.
Because there's nothing quite like coming home and going, Ginny, baby, I'm sorry, but you've seen the law. We cannot be married anymore. This is null and void, which means our prenup probably doesn't matter either. It's been fun knowing you. Now get out of my home.
Okay, basically rolling.
That's what I think. That's my theory.
Kind of doing a King Henry.
King Henry, sort of. Yeah.
He at least figured out a way to legally divorce somebody.
Yeah.
Was that? Yeah, that was Henry, wasn't it?
Yeah, the one that created the Anglican Church to get divorced and do other shit.
Yeah. But, all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Rolling back to the 1950s.
Yeah.
Is at least the 1950s back is their plan. Mm-hmm. The only thing I like about the 1950s is the retro radios and cars. Those were nice.
Yeah.
That's about it. Nothing else there.
Yeah. You played Fallout, right?
Oh, yeah. I love the music too.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anything else before we move on? Because what we're moving on to is our catching up with Candace segment.
Oh,
I thought I had more. I thought this would take more time to get through.
It didn't.
It did not.
Oh wow. Okay. No, I don't think I really got anything else.
Okay. Well, that was the first 3 pages of script.
Oh, actually.
Yeah.
No,
go ahead.
I do. Okay. So her grandfather, right?
Yeah.
He, and I'm loosely quoting this because you know how my memory is.
Right.
So she says that he decided to vow to himself that he was going to be better to his family than his father.
Right.
And then at the age of 17 decides to phone back home and go, hey y'all, I got married. I'm not going to take care of you guys anymore. Which is kind of...
Yeah. He phoned home at 17.
Okay.
He was 16 years old when he met the grandmother. And then phoned his father to say he wouldn't be coming back home. And they married at 17.
So
Now, what I don't know, what I didn't look up,
okay.
was if that was a legal marriage in Connecticut at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at that age,
Yeah.
could they get married? In a lot of states, you could. In a lot of states,
Yeah.
you could get married well under the age of 18 for a long, long time. I think that might be the case still in some of them.
Yeah.
I didn't look into that.
Like Florida, you can still get married at the age of 16.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Ugh. Florida's so. I don't.
Granted, that's only if it's to another minor, I believe. If
Right.
it's to another adult, that's a no go.
Unless, like, I think the parents sign off on it or something
Yeah, I
like
think
that.
the parents have to sign off on it, or if you're, say you're a pre-adult, like 16
Yeah.
up, and you are knocked up, and you decide to go, I'm an adult now, my parents
Oh, yeah.
don't matter.
Emancipation. Yeah.
Yeah, if you emancipate yourself, then you can
Right.
do it by your own will, but
Right.
that's a lot of legal.
Yeah. That's stuff that we don't know anything about.
Yeah.
So let's get into catching up with Candace. Now, are you excited for this? Because I'm not. But I spent a couple of days writing up 6 pages of research and cutting clips.
Yeah. I'm most excited for the clips.
Oh my god. Oh god, they're so bad. I played one for your mom earlier when I was testing out the sound on the speakers.
Yeah.
Oh my lord. Okay. All right. Now this is going to be the crux of the show. This is why I expect people to listen beyond, our takes on Blackout. And I just want to say from the top here. So, I only managed to cut clips of the first episode of last week, which is her first episode.
Right. Yeah.
I only managed to cut clips of that. It was 37 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
And I cut about 32 minutes of clips.
Jesus.
Yeah. Some are a little over a minute. Some are longer than that because I really wanted people to hear her say her things. I don't just want to, do like a lot of media sources do, which is, or gotcha pages where it's like, oh yeah, here's 5 seconds of somebody saying some shit.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
No.
And I wouldn't want them to do that to me.
Mm-hmm.
That said, let's get into this. In the first episode of her show, Candace, of course, says a lot of things and very little truth in what is supposed to be a 30 to 40 minute show. Now, that is every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day. For 5 days straight.
30-minute shows.
30 to 40 minutes. Yeah. I listened to one earlier today that I'll be cutting for the next episode of this, where she said the scariest thing that I can hear, which is, I know a lot of you are pushing for me to have longer shows, and I swear we're looking into it, and I'm thinking, lady, you're running your own program. You're putting it up on YouTube. You're not paying for hosting.
Yeah.
What do you mean you can't do longer shows? And then at the same time, I'm like, please don't do longer shows.
Yeah.
Don't turn into Alex Jones until the patrons have picked up enough that I can actually sit down for 3 hours a day or more and cut clips and blow through ads. And
I mean, she could always do what some streamers do that I've watched in the past, where they go like, hey guys, it's time for my 12-hour stream on Thursdays. I have one that still notifies me twice a day.
Oh,
hey guys, I'm back from my lunch break, ready to get back to gaming, and it's like, what the fuck are you still doing, man?
Do you even enjoy the games anymore?
Yeah.
When they've become work, what are you doing? God, I couldn't. Of course there's a lot of people that work in, they work at like Walmart and shit that are like, oh man, I'd love to do that every day. No, you wouldn't.
No.
It's one thing to play a game for 8 hours and have fun with it. And, it's your escapism because your Walmart life sucks. I get that. Not gonna hate on anyone for that shit. It's one thing to do that. It's one thing to like eat hash and blaze your brain for 8 hours.
Yeah.
All right. I get that too. Again, no hate. But it's another thing to clock in by way of hitting that streaming button.
Yeah.
And play something and try to talk and act like you give a shit when you're playing your 30th run of Battlefield.
Yeah,
You know.
no. There's quite a few streamers that I've seen that are just like, I need to play a different game today because they're like play
Have you-
Battlefield clips, and it's like, oh my Christ, you poor schmuck, how many games of these have you played?
Let's see how long I can go on Pong, y'all.
No, the only ones that truly enjoy it as a career are the ones that they have the high Patreon numbers to the point in which they can advertise themselves, and they're just like, nobody's telling me what to do anymore. Fuck all of you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the money.
Right. Yeah. I'm supported by my patrons. Thank all of you, but also fuck everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we are. So this is, of course, the Gish Gallop Girl in action. A necessary hallmark of this kind of podcast are, of course, audio clips presented in their full context whenever possible. I'll be going a step further with each posting of each episode and providing links to her show. That'll be on the... God, I gotta put that up. The way I recommend seeing them is with a browser your personal account is not connected to. Like, don't use your personal Chrome or Safari account or whatever you use that you are signed into. Use a throwaway browser or something else, but don't use incognito mode or the like on your main browser. I'm saying this because you don't want to fuck up your own algorithm. You've been warned, and I'll say it every damn show if I feel I have to do it. Anyway, let's get into the heart of it all. I really don't want people to fuck up their algorithms, because once YouTube thinks that you like this shit, it's going to just feed you more and more of it.
Like, I looked up, like, one thing on Candace Owens because I was like, all right, I'll look up something on her.
Yeah.
And I looked it up, and I was like, okay, this was whatever. And then I go back onto my YouTube, and you know what my YouTube's full of? Fucking Republican Party shit left and right. And I'm like, what?
You
I don't
fucked
give
your
a shit.
algorithm. Yeah. Yeah, you fucked your algorithm. Incognito mode wouldn't have helped you.
Do you know
either.
how much death metal I had to listen to get rid of the fucking Republican Party?
Okay, here's what I had to do. All right, so I listen to her shit mostly in the car when I'm between, my jobs, because I work for Shipped right now, y'all. It's decent. Anyway, so when I'm between stores, I will listen to one of her episodes. When I get finished with an episode, I've been building a playlist of up-energy, up-tempo music.
Yeah.
Some of it's metal, but that's whatever. I built the playlist so that I can just deal with what I have to do. I have listened to that playlist and to other episodes of other shit between listening to Candace Owens, because I can't just do like 8 hours of her fucking show.
Well, no, I don't think many can.
I don't think she can. I don't think she can. That's why she's like, 30 minutes a day, I could do that.
Could you imagine somebody doing that as like a torture method? Just headphones on head and just...
I don't have to imagine it. I don't have to imagine it. I don't have to imagine it. I'm in the car. I'm surrounded by it. So here we are. 2 minutes in, Candace claims Joe Biden crapped his pants on stage. You ready for this? Okay. Here we are. Here we go, y'all. The woman in her own voice. Now, I did not volume level, so if I have to turn it down, I'll have to turn it down.
Dang. All right. Well, apparently I missed a lot. Welcome back, guys. And this time, it's just Candace.
This is her intro.
So obviously we have to address the elephant in the room. It would be so inauthentic. It would be so not Candace if we did not address the elephant in the room. And there's really just no way that we can pick up where we just left off. You know what I mean? We can't avoid it. The answer is yes. President Joe Biden did in fact poop his pants in France the other day. Everyone knows he pooped his pants. You know he pooped his pants. I know he pooped his pants. But especially us moms to toddlers, we know what went down. It's an unmistakable, undeniable squat. And I think the most telling part was Joe Biden's face. Jill Biden looked over at her toddler and she just looked like a disappointed mommy. She gave the, you have got to be kidding me here now? Didn't I tell you to go to the bathroom before we got into the car? But that, of course, is not the only elephant in the room. I kid, there is a much bigger one, and we will address that too.
Okay. Yeah. So she doesn't give context to it, and I had to look it up.
Yeah.
The claim is that President Biden defecated while on stage at the 80th memorial of D-Day in Normandy, France.
Okay.
I looked it up since I follow a lot of accounts that are critical of the current POTUS, and the stories I found were either from pro-Trump sites or articles debunking the story. There were many, and as usual, the story falls apart on scrutiny. They deceptively edited a video that they ran on Twitter, which I'm assuming is how Candace saw this.
Mm-hmm.
And the deceptively edited video looks like Biden is squatting. He's not squatting. He's reaching behind him for a chair because everybody was about to sit down, and he was probably tired.
Yeah.
He sat in a fucking chair seconds later. But they deceptively edited the video so that it looked like he was like squatting down to, release into a diaper.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, the man is 80 years old, but I think a lot of that comes on the heels of a lot of stories that seem to come from credible sources about Trump in the New York trial he was in recently, where everyone who was within proximity of him said that it smelled like he was farting. People theorized that he may have shat his pants in there. They say that he was farting and he was falling asleep, and that made the national news. So naturally, some idiot on Twitter just waited for the right time to run some video.
Yeah. Which isn't the first time something like that's happened.
Yeah. So 3 minutes in, Candace says the breakup should be amicable, no matter the context. Whether it's a business decision or a marriage or whatever.
For me, my podcast, I describe it as just talking to my friends on the phone. That's what it feels like. I don't even feel that the entire world is listening. I kind of am just like, hey, oh my gosh, did you see this? This is crazy. Oh, I just read this crazy book. Oh my gosh, what does this mean about our government? It's corrupt. It's like talking to my family on the phone. And then we kind of sort of find out that the entire world is listening when all of these hit pieces are being written about me. And I'm like, oh, basically being spied on. Why is somebody listening to our private conversations? So yeah, when I found out really kind of sort of definitely with the rest of the world that my show had been rather unceremoniously canceled, it was upsetting.
You have thoughts. Go ahead.
Unceremoniously canceled.
Yeah.
Also the oh my god, how did people know about the you
Mm-hmm.
does she not comprehend what she does on now a daily basis?
No, that would require knowing oneself. So Candace follows this up with a very specific story that I think tells on her younger self quite a bit.
Sort of felt like you're talking on those old school cord phones late into the night and like your parents are sleeping and then you think they're sleeping. And then suddenly your mom picks up and she's like, yeah, this conversation is ending right now and you're grounded for 2 weeks. It's over. Deeply, deeply upsetting.
I think that tells on her younger self quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean...
Well, I don't...
Because the way that... I need to explain something to you about phones.
Yeah.
About physical phones. Mm-hmm. You know that they used to be tied into your walls, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know about that.
You know about that. Well, sometimes if you had multiple line hookups in a house, like let's say there was a phone in your parents' bedroom and maybe a phone in your room and the phone on the wall in the kitchen,
mm-hmm.
anyone could pick up one of those phones and listen and talk on the line.
Yeah.
So I think what she's telling us here is that, like a lot of kids, she was probably in bed on her phone and mom picked up and said, you're grounded for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's what I gather from that. I mean, it's it's interesting that she did have that little bit of humanity, but like I said, it's a very specific story.
Yeah.
So now, then she goes on to tell us all how breakups should go. Go ahead. You have anything to say?
I just want to know what the fuck was so bad she got grounded for 2 weeks.
Whatever they were saying on that phone was obviously, like, not great.
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever going to get that story. Here we go with...
And I think also something that was strange is that when most people leave their jobs, they just sort of leave their jobs. It doesn't really become this global news story where everybody feels like they have to comment. Yeah, a worldwide Twitter trend for an entire week.
Nope.
Crazy. And I want to say this. I genuinely, my entire life, I believe that you should always aim to split amicably, whether that's in a relationship, whether you're in the midst of a divorce, which I hope never happens, or whether it's just leaving a job. I mean, why else would we put years in anywhere if you did not want that relationship to end amicably? That should always be the aim. I want you to know that. Wherever you are going, don't put in years somewhere and then have it be a messy split. And quite frankly, I also think it's the right thing professionally not to speak about why you are splitting or what's happened. But I was shocked, very shocked, and I'm sure you were shocked as well, when no sooner was the split announced than Andrew Clavin just was like, hey, it's me. I pick myself. I'm going to be her crazy ex-boyfriend.
Ed, do you have thoughts?
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Okay, so when your boss decides to fire you,
Yeah.
it is no longer your choice to leave amicably. And most times, as somebody who has quit 2 former jobs,
Right.
when you decide, nah, I'm done, you can put in your 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a bad enough job, you just kind of go, you know what? I kind of want to sit across the street and watch the fire happen.
Right.
You know? And it's... God. Also, given her line of work, what she does and what she puts herself into by doing podcasts like she does...
Yeah.
And all of that, of course it's going to become a news story when she gets fired from a major podcast... Fucking, is it podcasting firm? I don't think that's the right word, but
might as well be.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck? They're assholes.
When
they're
they're
douchebags. It's okay.
Okay,
We could call them a shit factory, and it would still be better than what they actually do.
I know, but I don't want to be wrong on this.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
It's when you get fired from a major,
Let's
news
call them
company,
a media company.
Yeah, media company.
Let's call them media
company.
Yeah.
That's safe. When you get fired from a major media company.
And it's the head honcho that called the shot, not like some under manager or something.
Yeah.
It's the head honcho that called the shot.
Yeah.
And then you go to social media the next day and go, hey, I got fired, y'all.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to become a fucking big thing. It's not just going to be like, yeah, okay, so I got fired from my previous job, guys. But now I'm doing this, and honestly, I'm much happier. That's the more stable way to go about it.
And that's honestly, that's what's happened with people that that left or split off from or were let go at CNN.
Mm-hmm.
They don't try to slag the company usually, unless it was obviously a public bad thing that happened. But yeah, it doesn't tend to go that way.
No, like some of the there's some Twitch streamers that when their contracts got like abruptly cut off for whatever reason, and they started doing their shit on like YouTube, they'd go, hey guys, I got cut, but I have a contract with YouTube still, so we're all good. It's that sort of thing. It's not when you do this.
Now you just heard her talk about amicable splits, right?
Yeah.
Now you've been exposed to just enough of Candace Owens, and you're going to get exposed to so much more, but not as much as I am. I have to listen to her shit at least twice, at least twice.
Yeah, because you got to listen to it the first time, and then you got to listen to it again during editing.
At least twice, because I sometimes have to go, I didn't hear that. And I have to back up the podcast that I'm listening to
and pull
several minutes and go, how did we get here? Because I'm driving.
Yeah.
Or I'm sitting in the car and I'm like, like it's raining and I'm like, all right. And the gentleness of the rain here in Minnesota, combined with her just constant stream of gish gallop.
Yeah.
It's not sleep inducing. Thankfully I have coffee. But it's enough for my brain to just check out and go, hey, what did Hawking say about black holes? Because I'm thinking, man, I'm in a black hole of suck right now. And then it's like, I'm in this other world. I'm like, oh, fuck, I got to go back. And then, like, it'll happen again. And I'll have to go back again. Yeah, it's maddening. But it's not even, like, I can't even blame ADHD. It's just, you're in the pattern of just shit.
Well, it's like, being at work and just, I understand hearing the gentleness of the rain here.
Yeah.
Being at work and one of my coworkers that likes to talk about politics is in my ear, and I just kind of like space out and go, man, I wish I was playing some Destiny 2 right now. And then I zone back in and I'm like, yeah, totally, dude, man.
Yeah, right. I
don't know what you said, but fuck them.
Yeah, right. So Candace goes on to demonstrate the exact opposite of high-mindedness and grace over the course of every episode in the first week. But especially this episode, where she calls out another person at the Daily Wire who I was blissfully unaware even existed until the first time I heard the following.
Just like a bizarre tour he went on. He felt like it was his duty, or maybe somebody knighted him and said, Andrew Clavin, this is your duty to go around and to just smear Candace Owens. Say whatever it is that you want about her. And there's a piece of this that everybody's missing, and I do want to talk about that. I think Lauren Chen really summed it up, or at least pointed to it on Twitter. She sort of said, what's really missing in all of these conversations with Andrew Clavin is, are you guys recognizing that he's basically saying she was really nice to him? That there was nothing that she did from a personality perspective. Yeah, that is kind of the big part that I think a lot of people are missing. Lauren Chen is correct. I was nothing but kind and nice and warm to Andrew Clavin for years. I had what I would describe as a very good working relationship with him, as I do with everybody. It's important to me to always represent myself professionally, also to always be nice and check in on people's lives. And just a few weeks before this, Andrew Clavin was sitting across from me on backstage, asking about my kids, asking us how I was doing, talking to him about the fact that I had had a surgery. I had been walking around in a boot just a little prior to that because I had a surgery back in December. And I think that is just, I don't know, I don't even want to say it's strange, more than strange. I think it's dishonorable. A lot of people go, oh.
Yeah. See, that's the kind of stream that I have to listen to in order to cut these things. Because I have to give full context. So she basically had a work buddy that was a colleague, because he has his own shows on the Daily Wire.
Yeah.
So her work buddy, who anyone who's ever worked with a snake will tell you is not your work buddy. How could she have, what I fail to understand is, how could she have been so clueless to not realize, as a snake, she's in a pit of snakes, and they're probably not your friends.
Yeah, even I, sitting at my part-time right now.
Yeah.
I have talked to my upper management. I've talked to people in various different positions of it.
Yeah.
And I've been like, hey guys, real friendly with them, and they've been real friendly with me. But I also hold the knowledge in my head that if I wasn't so needed, I'd be fired now. They would not lose an ounce of sleep over it.
No.
It does not matter how nice or how much they give me. It's like, y'all would fire without hesitation around here if you could.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, be fortunate you're in a union, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was just about 5 minutes into the show.
Yeah.
So Also, 5 minutes in, Candace claims that Andrew Tate is the third most Googled person in the world. Here it is. Here it is.
Oh, why do all of these young men follow Tristan and Andrew Tate? Why don't they follow people like, I don't know, Andrew Clavin? And I've really spent a lot of time trying to understand how it is, and I think this was just recently announced, that someone like Andrew Tate has become the third most Googled person in the world. That was recently announced. The third most Googled man in the world is Andrew Tate, his brother. They are from the wrong side of the tracks. How do they gain a following of so many young men following them? I think...
Yeah. So, yeah. Now, do you think any of that was real?
I know Andrew Tate is a famous alpha male douchebag sort of thing.
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I got that wrong.
No, you're right.
Alpha?
You're on the right trail, yeah.
Alpha. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I know he's one of those douchebags. And he's some sort of kickboxer or some shit, or I'm mixing
No,
him up.
No, it's all correct. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know he's also been on Joe Rogan's show occasionally because I get clips of that one. For some reason, I get a lot of Joe Rogan in my newsfeed, and I don't know why. But
if you looked up Candace at all, that's why.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're all buddies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know that he's popped up a few times, and he's a bronze egg headed asshole.
All correct. Yes.
But I don't believe he's like the third most Googled person in the
No,
world.
he's not. No.
I could believe a lot of people do Google him because they're like, either who is this asshole or who is this guy?
Yeah. Well,
but not third most.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you and the audience, if they're not familiar, Behind the Bastards did at least 2 episodes, maybe 3. I don't remember. It was a few months ago on Andrew Tate.
Okay.
He is a shitty shitbag.
I mean, I could tell you that just from listening to him
say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he could say the word sandwich without people wanting to punch him.
See, the trouble is getting him to say the word sandwich is just a word, not somehow saying that it's a woman's job to make him a sandwich.
This is true.
Because he's one of those assholes.
Oh, yes, he is. In ways that are great and terrible. So, Google Trends do not back this up at all.
Okay.
There were days where Tate's name spiked, such as when Greta Thunberg, I'm never going to say her name right, I think it's actually Thunberg.
Thunberg?
Yeah, the German climate activist girl, who is now a woman, I think. I think she's actually 18 plus.
Oh.
So she's available.
No.
I mean, granted, she's in another country, but she travels a lot. I'm just saying, you're both adults. Anyway, her and Tate had a Twitter battle, and when Andrew Tate was arrested in Romania on multiple occasions. In December 2022, Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan were arrested in Bucharest, Romania, on suspicion of human trafficking, rape, and forming an organized crime group to sexually exploit women. They were initially detained for 3 months before being placed under house arrest. In June 2023, Romanian prosecutors formally indicted Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate, and 2 Romanian women on charges of rape, human trafficking, and forming an organized crime group. The indictment alleges they recruited 7 women and forced them into pornography through intimidation and surveillance. In March 2024, Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate were detained again in Romania for 24 hours after being served arrest warrants from the UK related to allegations of, quote, sexual aggression, dating back to 2012 to 2015. The Romanian court approved their extradition to the UK after the conclusion of their trial in Romania. So, in summary, Andrew Tate faced multiple arrests and legal proceedings in Romania over the past couple of years related to allegations of human trafficking, rape, and organized crime involving the sexual exploitation of women. He was recently approved for extradition to the UK to face separate charges there as well.
Okay. Now, I knew about the first set of initial charges.
Yeah.
Because, again, for whatever fucking reason, they pop up in my
algorithm, right.
algorithm. And so I knew about the first set because I remember scrolling through my YouTube shorts and he popped up with Joe Rogan and talked about it on Joe Rogan's show about how the Romanian authorities just kicked down their door and detained them and didn't give them a chance to like, do any of the hands on the back of your head or anything. They just fully busted in, grabbed them, and
they were wanted forever. And do you know how they got found? It was due to that Twitter battle with Greta. Some of Greta's... Okay, here's what happened, right? Here's what happened as I understand it. I didn't bother to write it down, but I laughed my ass off the first time I read the story months back. Him and Greta were in a Twitter battle. And he was saying some bullshit about how he wouldn't fuck her or something like that. And he was eating a pizza. And it showed the pizza box. Now, the pizza box could have only come from this chain of pizzerias in Romania, in Bucharest. So someone sussed out the Romanian pizza chain, and then they told the authorities. They went to them. They got the information, and they busted in. Because Tate loves to go off about how he was this badass kickboxer and stuff. You don't give someone like that, who you've suspected of rape and pimping and shit, you don't give someone like that an opportunity to just knock politely on their door.
True.
You bust in.
Yeah.
I don't like the police, but I give them this one.
Yeah, no.
You know? They were chasing an international criminal, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
He's lucky all they did was bust in. If it was America, if it was the LAPD, he might not have survived.
From what I understand, and this might be a complete falsity on his part. Sorry, falsity.
Whatever.
Anyways,
that's also not a word, but go on.
Falsehood. Anyways,
there we go. Good work.
He supposedly they were rough with him and his brother.
Yeah, I hope so.
In case you couldn't hear the air quotes, they were there.
Yeah.
They were rough with him, and his poor alpha male ego, I guess, was bruised by it because he felt the need to mention that they were rough on him and his brother.
You know, okay.
For their supposed crimes. He called them supposed crimes.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a story, right? So years ago, like way back. I don't want to put a year on it because I don't want to make it easy for doxers, but years ago, when we lived in Jacksonville, and your sister was much younger, we got pulled over in the Riverside area.
Yeah.
Me, your mom, and your sister all got pulled over in the Riverside area. Now, on the back of my car was this huge logo for the martial arts school that I was a part of. Now, our school trained firefighters for the Jacksonville Guns versus Hoses fight night every year. We trained the firefighters. And the firefighters routinely mopped the floor with the cops. Well, a cop pulls me over. I've got a suspended license. I wasn't totally aware of that.
Yeah.
So the cop decides he's going to take me in. He opens the door, pulls me out of the car, slams me against it, and cuffs me and takes me back into his car. Now, I realized what was going on, and I was like, now, I didn't bitch about how the cop treated me.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, I get it. You
know?
Yeah. Like, all right, could have gone worse. He could have decided to pull out the nightstick or the taser or, the probably 3 other things that the cops have.
Yeah.
I also didn't fight back because it's a fucking cop and I don't want to rack up charges.
Yeah.
I just kind of went limp. I let it happen. And I was like, oh, I get it. And, it's like, yeah, of course he treated me rough. There's a fucking big ass symbol on the back window of my fucking car that tells him that I'm part of the Kung Fu crew that has been kicking their ass for years.
Yeah. That's one of those
also where we were in Riverside. If that cop had been there very long, our school had formerly been in Riverside, and we were known to be shit kickers. So I understand. I don't like it.
Yeah,
I didn't like that I got treated rough by a cop, but I kind of understand.
Yeah.
You know, I don't look, and again, like, oh, well, he must have done all that because he was legitimately afraid. Fine, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, douchebag, but whatever. You know, yeah, I'm not butthurt over it. Like, come on, man. But yeah, okay. So moving on. 6 minutes in, Candace says that if she had a problem with her colleague, she would go to them privately to sort things out, and mentions a disagreement she had with fellow right-wing shitflinger Matt Walsh.
I wish she'd say the words right-wing shitflinger. That would...
That'd be great, but
that would make my day.
It won't come up.
That one
Chicks with
thing
Pizza
I
show.
could bet my life on is that if me and Andrew Tate were enemies, he wouldn't be sitting across from me asking me how my kids are. He wouldn't. I also want to say that just in terms of how I've always behaved with my colleagues, if I ever had a disagreement with something that they said, I would never do anything other than to go to them directly. I would not be holding on to anything. In fact, this is a true story. One time Matt Walsh tweeted something and I thought that he just didn't have all of the facts. I'm not even gonna tell you what the situation was. It wasn't that important. But I just called him and I was like, hey, saw your tweet. I think that you should talk to this person because I think there's something that you're missing. And Matt was like, oh, well, I'm not going to change my mind on this. I was like, I'm not asking you to change your mind. I just want to introduce another fact. And I got him on the phone with somebody else and they had a conversation. I don't even know what happened with that conversation, but that's just the way that I would expect colleagues to behave. But you would just raise something directly with the person that you are seeing on a day-to-day basis. But Andrew Clinton didn't do any of that. And what he's...
Your thoughts?
Has she ever worked in a workplace environment?
The lore on her is that she has.
Okay.
But I can't prove that. And that's going to be a subject for another day.
Okay.
That's going to be a subject for another day out of Blackout. Because I spent a lot of goddamn time. Okay, all right, audience. Let me tell you about my process regarding things that people say when they say things that I think are bullshit. I try to prove the bullshit first.
Yeah.
I don't just go, that can't be right. And then look up, I work within the bias of I want to prove them right.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I do kind of approach everybody as they're telling the truth, but I need to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
I can't prove what she says about her job prior to media. I can't fucking prove it, and I fucking tried. I tried for days. I did, because I was like, okay, short of calling places in New York City, of which there could have been literally about 180.
Yeah.
And asking them directly, hey, did Candace Owens ever work for you? I can't get that information.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. I'm willing to say it's a fucking lie.
Yeah, because here's the thing is she would know that, a good, I want to say 80% of your workforce doesn't just go to the other person they're having a problem with.
No.
I know this.
Yeah.
Because we have a quote unquote shit flinger at my job.
Yeah.
That likes to go around and just report people for random shit that they didn't do.
Yeah.
And that usually falls into our lap when the manager's like, hey, so-and-so said this was going on. God. We go, no? Goes, okay. But, I had one manager, he got a bunch of reports on him, and he's like, I thought these people were cool with me. They know they can just come and talk to me. And the first thing that came to my mind was, dude, you're big and burly. Nobody wants to just come up to you and go, hey, man, I had a problem with what you said to me earlier.
Yeah.
Because you're big, you're burly, you look mean.
Yeah, and you have a deep voice, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, that dude's a teddy bear.
Yeah.
But
still, it's that sort of workforce thing that, most of your workforce isn't going to go to you directly.
Well, they don't want to cause a problem.
Yeah.
They don't want to cause a problem. They'd rather go to somebody that isn't connected to it.
Yeah, they'd rather go to the neutral ground that will then go to you and go, hey, this happened. Talk to me.
Yeah.
Or they're just going to be
pit of snakes and sit there and just very quietly sit together in their own, what's the word?
Well, in their own shit.
Yes.
Now, I just want to say that I'll say it as often as his name comes up, if I have to. There are 2 Matt Walsh men in entertainment.
There are?
There are 2. And they could not be further apart from one another. The one she's talking about is a known transphobe.
Okay.
Who works at the Daily Wire. The other one is a celebrated comedy actor. Has done bit roles in a lot of projects. He's one of those guys that shows up in a lot of stuff. But I was most familiar with his work on the sketch show for the Upright Citizens Brigade that ran on Comedy Central in the 90s. You would recognize Matt Walsh if you saw his face.
Okay.
He's done so much shit. He's really funny. This is all to say that Candace demonstrably had a public Twitter fight with her former bosses while she was employed by them, as well as other supposed colleagues of hers. She has a history of this shit. Right down to the point where months ago, Ben Shapiro told her on Twitter, Candace, you can quit whenever you want. No one is making you stay here. And then they waited months to kick her ass out.
So
she got a lot of grace.
So in other words, it sounds to me like they were just making sure they had all of their paperwork neatly signed and all letters to a T.
Yeah. I mean, they the Nazis are great at paperwork. And this is...
yeah, they love the paperwork.
This is no different. So 7 minutes in, we get Candace really starting her several-day run on why she was fired with a clip of her former co-worker, podcast host Andrew Klavan, on a different show, Cross Politic, discussing why she was let go. But first, she graces us with an explainer.
Because, of course.
Said about me, and the reason why I'm responding forcefully is because it rose to a level not just of tremendous dishonor to him as an individual, but also to blatant defamation. Andrew, he just lied. I know, it was just such a weird thing for me to watch. He was lying with such gumption. And I'm going to show you guys how you really can sort of sniff out these sorts of lies in politics in general.
Oh, please tell us.
I'm going to start by just cutting to Andrew, he on his second appearance talking about me, because he really wanted me gone, but also can't stop talking about me. Appeared on a show called Cross Politic, and he was explaining my alleged anti-Semitism. Take a listen.
So, she sets up her audience nicely to be told what is in the following 2 minutes. I wanted to chop this up, but this is her uncut in her own words, demonstrating how she earned the title of this show. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
It is 2 minutes long. I'm not apologizing. You all knew what you signed up for. Here we go.
The Daily Wire parted ways with Candace Owens, and part of it was things that she was saying that we felt were strongly anti-Semitic. And she was doing it in such a way that it was kind of hard to pin down, so I was trying to show where these things happen.
Strongly anti-Semitic, but in a way that was difficult to catch. So what we're veering into here now, obviously, is just like Black Lives Matter, giving a definition of racism. It's in a way that only people with expert eyes can see it. Otherwise, he would just throw up a clip and be like, wow, look at this crazy thing Candace said, how anti-Semitic. This guy's really a racist. He's just like dropping N-bombs. Like, obviously, this person is extremely racist. But when you get to this sort of like, it was done in a way, you just know that it doesn't exist. That they're just going to have to make it up. They got to Jussie Smollett it. You know what I mean? You just got to make it up. And guess what? Andrew does just that. He jumps into a Hitler hoax. By the way, let me explain to you what I mean when I say a Hitler hoax. We live in 2024, okay? If somebody ever comes to you and says, like, I don't know, I'm a Black person, and somebody tied a noose and left it around my neck, that's probably a hoax. That's just people are not tying nooses in 2024, and it just reeks of a hoax. For a Jewish person, Andrew is racially Jewish, if they're trying to sell to you that someone just like jumped up on stage and started being like, yes, I love Hitler, or like, this person was just glorifying Hitler, you're probably being lied to. 99.9% of the time, it's a lie. And they do it because they have built up Adolf Hitler in our school books. They know that we instantly just recoil when we hear, oh my God, this person is supporting Hitler. So Andrew just jumps right into a Hitler hoax. And here is what he says, or at least what he says that I said. Take a listen.
Okay, so that is a fine example of the Gish Gallop. So yeah, Klavan goes on to explain. But
when you start saying things like some of those books Hitler burned were so bad, you know, I was shocked. This is something Candace actually said. I was surprised to learn that the books Hitler was burning, or the Nazis were burning, they weren't good books. They were bad books. They were socialist books.
And Candace follows with the following Gish Gallop, which is about 1.5 minutes long.
Andrew, my friend, Andrew, my former colleague, I just don't know how you can do that. Am I broken? Like, I don't have the ability to lie like that. How could you believe that I got on my platform and I was just like, yeah, no, Adolf Hitler, like when he was burning books, it was great. I just thought it would be totally fine for me to do that. Of course, that's not what happened at all. Actually, I wasn't even talking about Adolf Hitler. It was an episode that I was doing on psychology, and I was talking about how a lot of the people that have brought forth modern ideas of psychology were perverts. And I had listed 3 Christians among those psychologists. And the psychologist he is referring to is Magnus Hirschfeld. He happens to be Jewish, but that wasn't important to me. I was just talking about psychology. It was no more important than the Christians that I had mentioned on that episode. Didn't need to mention that they were Christian, just the fact that they were perverts. And so what he's doing here is he's actually defending a pervert, Magnus Hirschfeld, by pretending that he is Adolf Hitler and that I said, oh my gosh, it's so great that his books were burned. No, I just introduced a fact. An actual fact that lives on the Holocaust Museum website. It's a fact that Magnus Hirschfeld's Sex Institute was burned to the ground by student protesters. Literal fact from the Holocaust Museum website. And here's what I actually said thereafter. In my view, he's a pervert. Doesn't mean that his library or his institute should have been burned down. There's no excuse for burning down an institute.
You have thoughts?
A lot.
Go ahead.
Okay, so starting with the
Dead air, man. Come on.
I'm sorry. It's just I now see what you deal with on the daily. So okay.
Uh-huh.
She has defended before that it was.
It's going to get so much worse, but go on.
Okay, so she has defended Nazi things before.
She has, yeah. And I just want to point out that someone that she knows did go on InfoWars and say that they loved Hitler. And that was Ye.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, Kanye.
We're going to talk about that more, and it's going to suck. But go on.
I refuse to...
We have to call him... Look, the reason why we have to call him Ye.
Okay.
Because we have to give the respect that that's what he wants to be called.
Okay. I'll call him.
Now, I had spoken before. I had misspoken before, I think, when I talked about Prince, and I was like, Prince changed his name, but I kept calling him Prince because it was the fucking 90s. It wasn't right to do that, but at the same time, the artist formerly known as Prince is a fucking mouthful when you're 13 years old.
Fair enough.
I was glad that he changed it to the artist and then to the symbol no one could pronounce, which is the love symbol, and then back to Prince. Went through 4 name changes. But it is what it is.
Okay.
But Kanye asking us to call him Ye, if we don't do that, For one thing, we're hypocrites. And two, he gets to hold that over people that don't just make the simple thing. Honestly, it's less of a word.
At least he didn't do the artist formerly known as Kanye. That would have been
that would have been a bit much, and it would have been derivative.
True.
True.
Yeah.
It's a creative person is never derivative, or whatever the fuck Kanye would tell you. Yeah, just calling him Ye, I can deal with that.
Okay.
I don't entirely like it. I'm just waiting for the day he pulls the trigger and goes, it's something else, guys. But for right now, it's Ye, so it's whatever.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Ye and Hitler.
It's even kind of fun to say, honestly. Uh-huh.
Okay. It's always so difficult whenever an artist is just like, by the way, my name's now this, and it's like, why?
I just learned your other name, dude. Yeah.
Because it's not even like a rapper. Like,
it's okay. I never referred to him as Jesus. Yeah. I couldn't do that. Did you? That was a period of his career.
I didn't know he had a period of his career.
I think he went by Yeezy as well. Those may have just been like fan names. Like Taylor Swift is sometimes referred to as Tay Tay, but she doesn't go out and go call me that. Yeah, I've seen that before. Like Tay Tay. Like, what the fuck? Who the fuck is Tay Tay? And then they explain like, oh, it's Taylor Swift. I'm like, oh, all right. Can I just still enjoy some of her music? Is that possible? Yeah.
But okay, so she has defended Nazis and Nazi Party before.
To be clear, Candace, yes.
Yes, Candace. Candace.
Let's not get the Swifties perked up. Come on.
Not Taylor Swift, Candace Owens.
Yeah.
Should have clarified that.
Yeah.
But okay, so Candace Owens, of course, Nazis, cool. Mm-hmm. But as somebody who has listened to her show, quite unfortunately, has she defended them in that regard of the burning of the books was okay?
Oh, you haven't heard it yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Here we go.
All right.
Here we go.
God.
Candace discussed the Nazi book burnings in her March 19th, 2024 episode of her old show on the Daily Wire. Here are the key details because I didn't cut the clips, but anyone can look them up given the date. She claimed she was shocked to learn that the Nazis, quote, were burning books that they deemed to be Marxist and they deemed to be overtly sexual. She specifically mentioned that the Nazis burned books from the Institute for Sexual Research founded by Magnus Hirschfeld, a German Jewish sexologist who coined the term transsexual. However, she omitted the fact that the Nazis targeted Hirschfeld and his institute because of anti-Semitic motivations, falsely portraying it as only being about the book's sexual content. Owens defended the Nazi book burnings by saying, quote, it doesn't mean that his library or his institute should have been burned down. There's no excuse for burning down an institute, but we don't then also pretend that somebody that is perverse is also a hero. You heard part of that. That's the rest of it. Mm-hmm. Her comments were widely criticized as downplaying the anti-Semitic nature of the Nazi book burnings and promoting a revisionist view of that history. So, in summary, Owens made controversial comments, appearing to defend or rationalize the Nazi book burnings on her show, which became a major point of criticism against her in the following weeks before her firing from the Daily Wire. So Candace goes on to ask an important question, though.
There it is, you guys. Does that sound like someone who's supporting the burning of books in any capacity?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
I don't like agreeing with anyone from the Daily Wire on anything, but come on, Candace. She goes on to ask an important question and reveals what must have been the easiest job at the Daily Wire.
No. And that's why he never showed the clip, of course. Am I supposed to believe that he didn't have access to the clips and the statements that I made at the Daily Wire? That he's not subjected to the same fact-checking process that I was subjected to every day that I was at the Daily Wire?
Candace goes on to say across several minutes that she had no idea why she got fired and shares a tweet on the show from November 2023 that she sent out. using the phrase "Christ is King." I'm going to go ahead and just pause here for a second. The Daily Wire has fact checkers. I would not have ever even guessed.
Okay, so occasionally the Daily Wire shit does roll up in my YouTube shorts.
Right.
But I watch them for the more fun side of their news things, which is like, I think it's the Daily Wire anyway. They do like Samuel L. Jackson answers questions from the internet or whatever.
Oh, that's definitely not the Daily Wire.
That's the other one.
Here's
there's another
problem.
Group that's called Wires in their name. That I'm getting
there's a lot of dailies. A lot of them are bad. Some are good.
Okay.
Like there's the Daily Zeitgeist. It's run by people that are friends of Robert Evans.
Okay.
That's decent. There's another one. It's run by other friends.
Wired. That's the name
Wired.
of the... Yeah.
Yeah, Wired is a long-running tech publication that does do funny shit.
See,
Wired is a totally different beast.
I got my wires crossed.
You
there.
did. You really did.
But, okay, so then...
I guarantee you Samuel L. Jackson is not going to have anything to do with the Daily Wire.
Yeah. Unless
it is to go on there to tell them exactly why he thinks they all are actually motherfuckers.
Yeah. So... That answers that question, but
there we are. Mm-hmm.
Fact checkers.
Yeah,
that's an actual.
It seems to be an actual job.
Would you hate me if I got that job? It sounds like
it sounds cake.
Yeah,
as long as it pays well. I mean.
Yeah, I mean shit. Yeah.
And they don't make you use your real name.
Oh shit.
We're gonna get to why.
Okay.
Hold on. So. She shares a tweet on the show from November 2023 that she sent out using the phrase "Christ is King." This is notable because that phrase has been used frequently over the last couple of years by right-wing conservative shitbag Nick Fuentes at his rallies and speeches. Candace hides behind the religious symbolism of her Christianity.
I do. That amounted to him planning an attack on me and smearing my name, absent any clips, absent any context. And he kind of gives it away in the title of his episode. Because Christ really is king. And this, honestly, is just where things got a little bit disturbing for me. Andrew, for 5 entire months, had been seething. I mean, unbeknownst to me, never mentioned it to me, never when I saw him, over a tweet that I had sent last November, where I shared a Bible verse. And I ended the Bible verse, here it is, take a look at it, by saying Christ is king. It's just a Bible verse, okay? You will note that nobody is tagged in this verse. This was not a response to any thread. It was a standalone tweet. But remember, Andrew is lying his face off, right? So he says, okay, this is the tweet that upset me. Now I'm just going to pretend that this tweet was delivered in a different way.
I went all the way back through months of her tweets, and my read on it was probably the same as a lot of people. She seemed to be publicly feuding with Ben Shapiro on Twitter, and the phrasing "Christ is King" could have been seen, and seems to have been seen by many, as an anti-Semitic dick slap to Benny Shaps.
Did you just call him Benny Shaps?
I did. I called him Benny Shaps. That comes from the knowledge fight world.
Okay.
Occasionally, Jordan, when they bring up Ben Shapiro... No, actually, I'm wrong. It's not knowledge fight. It's from one of the guests that shows up on Robert Evans' Behind the Bastards a lot. Cody from Some More News.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look them up on YouTube.
Okay.
They're worth watching.
All right.
Some More News, and I think there's an Even More News that they do, but yeah, Cody Johnston is the guy's name. He refers to Ben Shapiro as Benny Shaps.
Okay.
And I just love it because it takes the monster down a peg.
Also, look at Squish.
Ah, yes, my cat is curled up and just staring at me.
She had her eyes closed, and then you started that one for the Christ is King, and the moment she heard that, she opened her eye.
She's like, why? So, here's the next clip.
And here is how he lies again.
The truth that hid wickedness, that I thought was the most wicked truth to use, was the truth that Christ is king. You know, when you spit that phrase at Ben Shapiro, that she used Christ is king in an argument with Ben Shapiro, where it obviously carried this weight. And so that's why I was addressing it.
So there you have it. No, of course, I did not spit that phrase at a Jew. I just tweeted it all by itself. I did not use that phrase in an argument with a Jew. I just used that phrase at the end of the Bible verse because that's an appropriate time to use that phrase when I was calling for peace after actually somebody insulted me and called me faux sophisticated. And it was meant as nothing more than, I'm calling for peace. That's it. Christ is king of my heart. I don't need this drama because, if you remember, I was 38 weeks pregnant.
Now, I just want to say off scripture, Candace has been 38 weeks pregnant before. This was her third child.
Yeah.
Now, the fact is, it was an online argument with an outspoken Jewish man that supports Israel. Candace can say whatever she likes. Facts are facts, and I find it impossible that she didn't know this at the time, as it also wasn't followed up with on explanations. She just said Christ is king. She didn't add all that other shit into the tweet.
Yeah.
She had the space. She had the fucking characters. She didn't do it. Candace goes on to say that people were revolting to Klavan's scolding of Candace's Christ is king comments, and she introduces another favorite phrase of hers, Hitler's dog logic.
By then veering into what I would call Hitler dog logic. They're like, what are you talking about? She said Christ is, what is wrong with her saying Christ is king? And he has an explanation. It's Hitler dog logic. Take a listen.
And there is a substantial coterie of people, anti-Semites, people who hate Jewish people, who are using Christ the King as what the left would call a dog whistle. And they use it to spit at people. There are pictures of Nick Fuentes, who is a raving anti-Semite, shouting Christ the King in this kind of aggressive, pugilistic way to mean, essentially, Jews are screwed. That's basically what they're saying.
So there you have it, you guys. Candace didn't actually say anything, but this person, Nick Fuentes, also said Christ is king years before Candace, and apparently Andrew Klavan thinks that Nick Fuentes wrote the New Testament. And so anytime you are going to use Christ is king, Jesus is king, you be sure that you recognize his Hitler dog logic. Do you have a dog? Do you guys have a dog? Did you know that Hitler also had a dog? Have you disavowed Hitler today with your dog? Yeah, well, then that would make you a Hitler lover. That is straight up leftist logic. And I love how he attributes that to the left. He's like, well, the left would call this a dog whistle. Apparently the woke right would call that a dog whistle as well, a Hitler dog whistle. You're just basically attaching me to someone for absolutely no reason throughout multiple interviews for no other reason than the fact that you personally have issues with that person because of the way that they have attacked you.
Go ahead.
Well, it's just her raving support for Nazis doesn't help her in this regard, but also going back one, she really needs to let up on how hard she says the J in Jew.
Yeah,
because she says it. She like
yeah, it's a hard J.
Yeah,
it's a real hard J.
It's a hard J. It's like if I say Jew, I don't
even say Jew. Like, we are Jewish.
Yeah.
And I don't say Jew like that. I don't. It's like it's like I will tell people like, yeah, I did not grow up in an Orthodox Jewish home.
No.
You certainly fucking didn't.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you definitely didn't. The only reason we don't eat pork in this house is because like half of the people here can't really stomach it. Literally, they can't stomach it. So
yeah.
But
occasionally
that's fine.
Bacon is bought for like the I don't care.
Yeah,
it's bacon.
Yeah, but yeah, otherwise it's like
Mm-hmm.
I think the last time I had bacon in the house, your brother had made the jalapeno poppers.
Oh, actually, he got those from
that came from Hy-Vee. That came from Hy-Vee. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he didn't make them, but they came from Hy-Vee, and they fucking cooked them here.
I thought they came from Lunds Wireless.
No, they came from Hy-Vee. Okay. No, they might have come from I don't know. Who fucking cares?
Yeah.
They were good.
Yeah, no.
They were really good. I ate like 8 of them.
Yeah. I had 6 of them myself.
Well, yeah, because like they bought them and then they were too spicy for them, so they split them between us.
Yeah.
Because he had given you so many, and then he came over to me and he's like, hey, so there's some here if you want to take them in tomorrow. I was like, you give them to me now.
Yeah.
I will eat them now. You don't understand. Yeah, they were so good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
but it's not only the hard J.
Yeah.
The hard J. Mm-hmm. But it's not only the hard J and Jew that she says.
Yeah.
But also her previous support of burning
books.
Yeah. And
well, that comes from her transphobia.
Yeah, because I mean, it doesn't help at all in her case. It's the guy that the Jewish doctor scientist that coined the term
transsexual. Yeah.
Transsexual. It doesn't help that she's like, yeah, no, it's good that we burned his books. But also it's she's not helping herself at all with the whole Hitler thing. It's not.
No. Oh, it's going to get worse. You're not even prepared for this. It's going to get worse. Oh. So, I refuse to believe that Candace doesn't know who Nick Fuentes is, given her strong ties to Ye. Nick Fuentes has been influential with Ye in the same rooms for a few years. And Fuentes' use of Christ as King may have started several years ago, but he's still doing it today. He uses religion as a shield for his supremacist rhetoric. Moving on, Candace drops a bit of news I had to seek out the truth on.
You have to ask yourself, what gave Andrew the courage to lie so belligerently? Other than the fact that, by the way, the person in charge of fact-checking at the Daily Wire, the general counsel, is his son-in-law. So I think that probably helped it get through the fact checks. His married to Andrew's son.
Yeah, did you catch that?
Yeah, she's claiming that
that Andrew Klavan's son is gay and his husband is the main fact checker at the Daily Wire.
So it's the gay Jew's fault that the information got through.
Now keep in mind she didn't harp on the gay part.
Yeah.
She has several friends that are Republican gays.
Okay. So she can't.
Her deal is transsexuals are the worst.
Okay.
But for her, yeah, like apparently, like I don't think she would be okay around a bunch of really flaming out there homosexuals. I find those people to be lovely and fun to be around.
Yeah.
They make the best drinks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And they got the best fashion advice. I mean.
Yeah. They may dress like a 1970s pimp, but they will get you looking perfect.
Yeah.
It's just not for them. They're like, oh, baby, that is not for me, but let me help you out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if they dress you like a 70s pimp, you're going to look fabulous. And women will want you. And they don't know why. They just will, That's been my experience. Like, yeah, Raul is my designer. That's a nice thing to say.
Yeah.
Raul is my designer. His name, he chose his name was like Steven, but he chose the name Raul, and that's what I'm calling him. See how that works? That's why we change names with people. It'll help you. According to what I could find, this whole thing she just said is dubious. But given that Candace has an axe to grind, it may or may not be true. Mostly because I could find no direct information on who the fact checkers at the Daily Wire are. Just that Klavan's son is married to a member of the legal team at the studio, a man named Joshua Hare. There is no direct indication that Hare is employed as a fact checker there, but since he is a lawyer, it's possible that this is true, even if all he does is act as a legal reviewer for items. Candace says she's moving on, though.
But what else gave him the courage? Well, what was it that Kanye was saying about the contracts? He must have known that I couldn't reply. He must have felt comfortable knowing that I could not say anything to defend my own name and my own honor, but he tripped into something different when he started lying on me in a way that rose to the level of defamation. And so I can defend myself against you, Andrew. I can defend myself against you. And genuinely do not wish bad on you still, because I don't want that on my heart. I don't want vengeance and hate on my heart. I wish you all of the goodness in the world. In fact, what I wish upon you is the sacrament of confession for doing something with such thoughts to plot for that long, for months. With this is just defies it. Genuinely, it just defies belief with me. I could never do that. I would just go speak to my colleague. And here's what I will say: always in my life, when things like this happen, there's always a reason. And it is because it inspires me. It inspires me to be great. It inspires me to be greater than I had been. And it inspires me to win against people that are doing bad. And so we decided to have some fun.
It inspires her to be great.
Inspires her to be great.
Yeah. So... and you might actually guess what it is because we talked about it earlier this week. Can you guess?
What inspires her to be great?
Yeah, what she's getting to. What do you think it inspired her to do? I bet the audience doesn't know yet.
Oh God, it's the mugs, isn't it?
You got it. Here we go, folks. Hold on. You have to hear the ad read. Here we are. This is the first of 3 ad reads on this show.
So many of you guys sent me emails. It was just completely inundated with emails, people asking, how can we support you? And it's one thing to be like, hey, we want a donation. It's another thing for us to be able to create a product which will help support this show in all of the ways that it is growing, you guys. I am introducing Standis cups, not to be confused with a Stanley Cup.
Yeah. That's right, not to be confused with Stanley Cups, which were stupidly popular for a hot minute. She goes on to explain what they are. And I'll show you right here, and I was going to show you the picture, but I'm not going to do that. The audio is also for the listeners. Here we go.
The first one that I am going to sign is going to go to Andrew Klavan. On the front here, we have the show logo, and it says, Christ is King. And yes, indeed, the back says woke right tears. I am telling you guys, these are all the rave. You're going to want to head to clubcandace.com. And when you buy one of these Standis cups, you support the show. You support us being able to stay independent. And by the way, here's what we're going to do. We're going to discontinue these. So this is the white one. We're going to discontinue these every time we hit the next 1 million subscribers. So right now, I think, what are we at? Like 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube. When we get to 2 million, this gets discontinued, and we're going to create another Standis cup, and you're going to have to collect them all as we climb back up to the following that I had. I think we were close to 4 million subscribers. It's okay. We can rebuild. They get to keep that channel. We get to build this channel, and it's all going to be great. So I really do want to thank Andrew Klavan for the inspiration to launch the Standis cups. So
yeah, that happened. Yeah, no, go on. You've got thoughts. I want to hear them.
So she wants to send the guy that has publicly said on the Daily Wire that he felt that the Christ is King tweet was an attack on Jewish folks. And so she wants to send the guy that said this publicly a mug that says Christ is King.
And on the back it says woke right tears. And where it says Christ is King, it has her show logo. And she wants to sign that and send it to him. Yes.
And it's a white mug?
It's a white mug. Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? I actually will pull this up because you need to see this, and it would be great if you could explain it to people as well. Let's see, clubcandace.com. God, it's already autofilled. Thank God I only use this computer for this. Yeah, see, it's right there on the main page.
What the fuck is...
Here, I'm going to pull up the... There we go. Support, I believe it's under that. Oh, no, that's for her locals page or whatever the fuck that is.
You know, I always forget what Candace Owens looks like, I'll be honest.
She doesn't look like that anymore.
No? Oh, that's an old picture?
That's an old picture of her,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let me see. Pre-order. Here we go.
Okay. Oh,
there you go.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
That looks...
Go ahead. What's the price?
Fuck, 150?
Or
I could pay that for a cheap lightsaber, man.
Yeah. Or basic bitch.
$60.
Yeah.
You're...
It's a 40-ounce mug. And the straw apparently comes with it. It's one of those like collapsible straw deals.
You mean
That's what it says.
The silicone ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, the silhouette of her is just terrible, though. I gotta say, it's.
I don't remember what someone compared it to something funny, and I don't remember what that was now.
Like when the water splashes.
No, someone wasn't trying to be funny. I just read it that way.
Okay.
They said that it looked like a fetus, and since she's all about anti-abortion and shit, like it fit, and then someone else came in and said, that's actually her silhouette. And they were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Jesus.
That's her audience.
Okay. The mug.
Yeah.
Actually, still talking about the mug. I do have to say one thing at least, which is a weird thank you, because now I can identify the people I don't want to talk to.
Yeah. If they're using them.
Sure.
If it's not just sitting up in their... Oh, yeah, I feel like those are the people that are going to want to go out in public and proudly display as they're drinking their, their whatever.
Cup drink.
Yeah, God.
Honestly, it'd be...
You're right, it is kind of a flag. But yeah, if you see it now...
Now I know.
But now you're going to look at every white Stanley Cup and be like, left, right. Okay, God, no logo. You might be normal,
The only way she could... No, because she's not a... God, no, I don't want to breathe that idea.
No, don't. Whatever you're thinking of, you keep it in there. You keep it locked away. So, I go on to say, that's right, and as of this taping, they are still available. I had wanted to order one if they were personalized.
They aren't.
I wanted to get her to sign one to this show. We're still small enough, I thought it might be worth the risk. But I don't see anything on the site about getting one personalized, so I think she signed a bunch of them and is waiting to ship them out. If you go to the Club Candace site, this is the only item up for sale. And it's only on pre-order. They're not shipping out until like August.
That's
kind of dumb.
Yeah.
It is as she described, but the cup itself is a white knockoff of a 40-ounce Stanley mug with Christ as King on one side with Candace's silhouette and woke right tears on the reverse side. The woke right tears is a reference back to the standard ceramic mug sold that said woke liberal tears, or liberal tears, by several outlets, but notably Steven Crowder. The non-signed mug goes for $60 and the signed mug is $150. Which honestly, like, we got signed stuff at Comic-Con last year from people that we liked that were anywhere from free to only $50 each. And they were personalized.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't see paying 3 times that for an unpersonalized signature done in Sharpie on a plastic mug. I think another consideration is time, because that Sharpie, which is what it looks like it was signed with, might not last over time on that overpriced mug. It's just my guess, but I think that looks like a bad investment.
Yeah, because unless you're keeping it like
preserved
on a shelf, preserved, it's gonna wear off with handle use, handle use alone. Not including if you actually are a sanitary person and wash your fucking dishes.
Yeah, or even just dust your house.
Oh yeah.
Candace spends the next almost 2 minutes talking about the Candace cups, as she calls them, and how they're better than Stanley cups in almost every way. She thanks the people that supported her on the crowdfunding support site, locals.com, and she says this is the last time she'll mention Clavin. She finally gets into a news story she wants to cover after spending the first 20 minutes on all the stuff we just covered. But are you ready to hear about what Candace Owens deems as newsworthy in this episode?
Yeah.
So this is Just Candace, which is very, very exciting because it's an opportunity for me to do ads in a different way as well. And I wanted to really get involved with the advertisers and to read you ads that I actually believe in, to bring you to companies that I actually believe in, that I think align with our mission as conservatives, our mission as Americans first and foremost. And so I am so...
That's right. Candace thinks her ad reads are newsworthy this week, including this first one.
This is what you meant by the ad read.
I'm proud to tell you guys again about Good Ranchers. You guys should definitely be getting involved with this company. The backstory is amazing. It's not one that they share often. It's about a couple that just really felt God tell them that they needed to get into this market because we know there are just such horrible toxins going into all of our food. So support this company, guys. Father's Day is coming up, and that is a...
She goes on to explain a box of meat. So she goes on to talk about this company for almost another 2 minutes, and I cut the clip there. The rest of the ad read includes free bacon for life on every new subscription with her promo code. I went to the website to see what they're all about, and the average price I worked out on their meat is higher by several dollars per pound than some of the high-end grocers here in Minneapolis. And our grocers only source from American farms, too. No shit. There's a box of chicken on that site.
Yeah.
If you work out the weight of the box of everything added up, it's 10.5 pounds.
Okay, for how much?
$150.
That's
with a discount already on the site. I didn't bother looking at the non-discounted price.
That's way overpriced. I mean,
it's like easily double what some of the prices in the retailer you work at is. Let alone the most expensive. The most expensive price I've seen on chicken in our area is at a chain called Kowalski's.
Yeah.
Okay. They source only from Amish farms.
Mm-hmm.
Their chicken is usually like $9 a pound.
Yeah.
Maximum.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it's on sale because they just have to move it. Yeah. That is utterly batshit.
Yeah. Fucking okay. I'll just refer to the company by its acronym. B&E. They source the. I watched their fucking video because I had to, and the fucking farming shit that they go through to ensure that their chickens are quote unquote harm free, antibiotics free, and all that lovely shit. Yeah. It is such. They have incubator trucks, like semi-trailers that are specially built to be incubators.
Yeah. Kitty's looking for a pet.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Squish. And they build these things specifically for this purpose alone. That is such a money sink that I looking at it, no, that is a money sink.
Yeah, because we've raised chickens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet we only sell their meat for like $5-6 a pound.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And if it's not on sale.
Yeah, and they come in like fully dressed sometimes. The pieces are that much. Yeah.
The one grocer doesn't even like butcher out their chickens that they get from B&E.
Yeah.
Like they don't get whole chickens that they then like spatchcock or cut up into thighs and shit. They just get the packages pre-made and they just go, all right, spatchcock chicken, put it on the shelf.
Yeah. Like, before we move on to this next one, can you get my power cord, please?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so we got our power back on. Anyway, moving on, Candace claims.
So, some bad news. Zelensky, America's welfare queen, apparently doesn't like me. And there's a lot of people. He is making a list and checking it twice. This is crazy, but it is true and it is real. And people are actually concerned for my life because of it. And I understand why. So Robbie Starbuck tweeted this. This is insane. A Ukrainian NGO just put out an enemies list that includes U.S. citizens. This list blames us for Ukraine's issues on the battlefield. Here's where it gets crazy. The founder of this NGO was trained by the U.S. State Department. The list includes me, Elon Musk, David Sachs, Jim Banks, Rand Paul, Jack Posobiec, Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, J.D. Vance, Michael Knowles. Oh gosh, every single time. I don't know. He's like the nicest person in the world. For some reason, he's on the list. He's always on the list. Josh Hawley, Eric Schmidt, Ron DeSantis, Don Trump Jr., Tucker Carlson, Ron Paul, Thomas Massey, Dan Bongino, and the Tate brothers. It goes on and on. The list is actually longer. The founder's name is Anatoly Bondarenko, and he was trained at the State Department's tech camp. Now he's using that training to target U.S. citizens with an enemies list.
Thoughts before I dive into this one? It sounds like a murderer's row of the wrong people, right?
Yeah. Also, she mentioned herself twice.
Did she?
Yeah, 'cause she started the list with
Right.
me, Elon Musk.
I think she was reading off the list from the tweet. But yeah, she's in it.
Okay,
yeah.
From the tweet.
Yeah.
Okay, because if she was quoting the tweet, that would make sense. But if she was saying me as in herself,
Yeah.
and then said Candace Owens again.
You know what though? It might have been the guy.
Yeah,
I couldn't find that tweet.
Okay.
I didn't go looking for it either. But I was hoping that it would like be in her feed, and it's not.
Okay.
Because I'm really like, okay, one of the fucky things about Twitter that Elon did was, unless you're paying like $8 a month, which I will never do.
Mm-hmm.
Did I explain Twitter on the last episode? I did. Okay.
You did. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Anyway, unless you're paying Elon money, which I will never, ever knowingly do, you're only allowed to see so many tweets in a day.
Really?
Yeah. You can actually hit a limit, and I think that limit is 500. I scrolled back for months on her to see about the whole like Christ is King and Shapiro feud bullshit for this episode, and I hit a stopping point all the way back there.
Jesus.
Yeah, so like I hit the stopping point in like October, I think. Yeah, so like mid-October was the lock.
Okay.
I couldn't go further.
Jesus.
Like I wasn't able to go further. Yeah.
She tweets that fucking much?
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, so much. And she also retweets a bunch, but yeah, she tweets like constantly. Yeah. The same people that will tell you that social media is poison use it the fucking most.
Yeah. Poison.
Yeah. So as usual, this list is overblown. A Ukrainian NGO, non-governmental organization, did produce a list of well-known persons in America and abroad that have been critical of the Ukrainian defense against Russia. Everyone on that list is familiar to people familiar with this world, including the Tate brothers, who we talked about earlier. There's someone she mentioned as well, who, quote, always winds up on lists like this and is just the nicest guy, end quote, Michael Knowles. Knowles is a Daily Wire show host that also runs a podcast with Senator Ted Cruz. So, fuck that guy. The founder of the NGO, Anatoly Bondarenko, was not trained by the U.S. State Department in the sense that Candace would have you believe. He was trained at a 2-day tech camp, with the idea being that he would train others to help run tech platforms, which is far different from being trained by the State Department for a year or more on propaganda or whatever Candace wants the audience to believe is going on.
The NGO also received United States funds. This is beyond unacceptable. Not only are we being forced to fund a meat grinder killing countless young men and women when peace could have been attained, but now that country that's been taking our money has a group targeting U.S. citizens, and the U.S. government trained their founder. Yes, yes, yes. Corruption is thy name in Ukraine. It has always been a laundromat for America. I was kind of the first to call it out, but I'm very, very shocked to see myself on this list. Seriously, what did I ever do to Zelensky? Was it something I said?
What? Okay. What's? I'm unfamiliar, at least, with her stance on Russia, Ukraine.
Oh, she's a Russia stan. Yeah, she loves her some Putin. She expected that, that when she says peace could have been attained, it means that Zelensky could have just left the country and given it to Russia and said, fuck y'all, got mine.
Oh, okay. So
that's been her stance from day fucking one.
So she was just expecting like a Germany, and not Poland. I don't want to.
Austria.
Austria. Yeah.
She was expecting a Germany-Austria to happen.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I don't need any of the Poles angry at me.
Yeah, right.
They're terrifying people.
Yeah, for good reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
That said, they have wonderful pierogies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no. Love a good pierogi. Oh, and Polish
sausage. Oof. I am not going to say that I'd like to punch Zelensky in the face, because that's violent. But I am saying that if I could get away with punching one person in the face and have no consequences, it would be President Zelensky.
Yeah, that clip was from her Daily Wire show. Gee, I wonder how she wound up on an enemies list.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder how you and the media would wind up on an enemies list. Yep, Candace said she would punch Zelensky given the chance. A man who is literally fighting with his men and women in a war for the sovereign state of their country against a foreign aggressor. By her own stated beliefs, Zelensky should be a hero and the standard of a real man, but because Candace, like everyone named on that list, is a Russophile, well, she says the shit she says. If she actually has an audience of 1.85 million, which is the number on her audience at the time of this writing, this is cause for concern, and I think she belongs on that kind of list. She goes on to say,
I see no problem with that statement. I stand by it. Turns out Zelensky wants to punch me back. Oh, if only it were that simple. We are dealing with Zelensky. He is obviously a psychopath, a deranged psychopath, also a liar. And yes, he is, in fact, sending Christians to the slaughter under the guise of something else. I think he is just your regular Bolshevik. You see men wearing crosses being dragged out of their homes, screaming, praying, asking not to be dragged out of their homes. And it is, in fact, a meat grinding operation. And I think because many of us have the courage to call this out and to stand up to these state-sponsored initiatives and ask questions about what is actually going on, we have wound up on his list. And yes, that is scary. That is scary, but I remain brave. I am not so concerned about my life when it comes to Zelensky because he's a very, very, very small man. Now.
Thoughts?
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I would be... Okay, let's just say in that scenario.
Right.
You know, Zelensky's, well, obviously, very rightly so angry with the woman.
Yeah. If he even knows.
If he even knows.
Yeah, if the people that handle other people have even bothered to tell him, hey, there's this person.
Yeah, and
who said these things. I find it hard to believe that he would even know her name.
Yeah.
Let alone give a shit.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain it would probably be like, if she was a big enough problem, then it would be brought to his attention. But otherwise, he'd probably go, "Who?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Who are you? Why do I care?"
But in that regard, it's not the politician that I'd be worried about, because, well, you know, he's president. It's more the Ukrainian hackers that love to just the way they fry Russia's power grid like it's just fucking chicken is astoundingly, amazingly terrifying, because they can just go in and go doop and then just delete their path.
Yeah.
I'd be more worried about pissing off
the
Ukrainian hackers.
Yeah.
Than
Zelensky.
Anybody in the government system.
Yeah. Well, all of that leads into her next ad.
Oh, okay.
You probably are not going to be able to save my life from Zelensky, but there is good news. There are plenty of other lives that you can save, and I am have always been a proud partner with Preborn. You've heard me talk about Preborn. I'm going to keep talking about Preborn. They have just the most wonderful Christian heart that is operating behind this company. I don't even want to get into the people that work at the company, because I won't even be able to tell you more about what it is that they actually do. But we all know what we're fighting here with Planned Parenthood. It is demonic. It is evil. They are raking in billions.
So, I had first heard of this company on her last channel, and I looked them up a few times. But first, Planned Parenthood's last accounting of revenue entirely was about $2.1 billion back in 2022, with most of that coming from private donations and the rest from various government funds. Preborn claims to provide services to reverse things like the Plan B pill and other abortion pills. They provide ultrasounds and basically anything to keep a prospective mother from carrying through with an abortion. For context and fairness, Preborn claims to have operated on a budget of $41 million last year. From what I can tell, they enlist a lot of unpaid volunteers. They're another regular ad read on our program, so I won't be returning to mentioning them unless something happens that I think makes it podworthy. Moving on. Candace goes on to talk about her friendship with Kanye West, or Ye, as he prefers to be known of at this time. Ye produced a tweet a couple of years ago that was known as the DEFCON 3 tweet on Twitter. Ye tweeted, quote, "I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people." Jewish people was in caps. This appeared to be a misunderstanding of the military term DEFCON, Defense Readiness Condition, threatening to go to the highest alert level against Jewish people. Twitter removed this tweet for violating its policies against hateful conduct. The tweet came after Instagram had already restricted Ye's account for posting a text exchange where he accused rapper Diddy of being controlled by Jewish people, promoting the anti-Semitic conspiracy theory of Jewish control and manipulation. Ye said, quote, "I'ma use you as an example to show the Jewish people that told you to call me that no one can threaten or influence me." Ye's DEFCON 3 tweet and the preceding Instagram posts contained blatant anti-Semitic rhetoric and tropes about Jewish people controlling others and needing to be threatened with violence. This led to his accounts being restricted by the platforms for violating hate speech policies. The next bit of audio is long, but I want to play it because it proves not only Candace's relationship with Ye during this time, but also, if she's telling the truth, then there is no way, I believe, that she would not have known about or possibly have spoken with Nick Fuentes. This is long, but I didn't want to trim it because she needs to be played in her own words on this kind of thing. Anyway, here we are.
Okay, now for this crazy true story. I don't know if it's Providence, but this is a true story, so I'm just going to share it with you guys. Back in 2022, obviously, when Kanye tweeted the infamous DEFCON 3 tweet, and I had been spending a lot of time with Kanye, and the whole world came down on him, and they banished him, and they said, "You must go away and never return." You know, it was a very difficult situation for me to maneuver, first and foremost, because I just don't believe in ever throwing friends under the bus, and there was this, like, obsessive journalist effort to make me do it, to make me join the chorus of voices that were saying awful things about him. I don't know why they wanted me to do it. It felt sadistic. It felt like, oh, well, we know you're his friend, so we want him to know that he's truly alone. And I never bit. I just thought to myself, at the end of the day, all I'm ever trying to do is lay my head in the pillow. If I want something to somebody that is in my life, I say those things privately, as I've said on the show over and over again, whether that is a colleague, a friend, a family member. You deal with these situations privately is the right thing to do if you have any sense of honor. Well, here's what happened. He, at that moment, right when that tweet had happened, wanted to come on my show to talk about it, to talk about what was going on in his life that made him say that. And that request was turned down, obviously, because that was not my own network. Totally fair. You can decide what guests you want to have on your network if they're representing ideas that you believe in. And sometimes networks just want to avoid a controversy altogether. So I have no issue with that. But he was deeply upset by it. And Ye kind of turned to me and said, your voice is being controlled. You don't even get to have me on, and we're friends. And the only thing I could say to him at that time was, I have this ghetto camera. Why don't we go to my house and just record a podcast? Like right now, with all of this fire going on, I think that might have been the day that he had found out about Adidas, or maybe it was another company. And I just said, let's just sort of lock this up in a time capsule, because one day I will have my own podcast.
Yeah, so now, unfortunately, the podcast looped back at that point, but this is the rest.
Platform. And I do want to hear what it is that you're thinking right now and why you're doing this. You know, your whole life from the outside looks like it's being burned down. What is motivating this? And so we went to my house and we recorded a podcast for a couple of hours on a ghetto little camera. And it's crazy to listen to that conversation now, now that he's not the hot topic and cooler heads have prevailed. It's something that I'm really, really excited to bring forth to you guys on this newer show. Obviously, we don't have time to do that today, but
that all leads into...
do want to show you a clip of that conversation. Before we do that, you know, Kanye, the artist formerly known as Kanye West, did give us Gold Digger, a great song. So let me at first tell you about Goldco. What a wonderful transition it was, right? I am just nailing it. The Candace show is lit. After everything that you have been through this year, ladies and gentlemen, after all the inflation that we've seen these last 4 years, after watching your taxpayer dollars fund these endless wars, the welfare queens of other countries, after witnessing the persecution of a political opponent like some banana republic, after witnessing all of that, what are you going to actually do to protect your hard-earned money? Because if you think it's safe, and I've got a bridge in Baltimore to sell.
Yep, it's an ad for a gold company.
I'm angry that I said at least he doesn't call himself the artist formerly known as Kanye. And then she goes and fucking spurts it out.
I forgot that was part of it. She did all that to go into a gold ad. Do you realize that?
All of that to go into
to build up the audience for a Ye interview, than to go into a gold ad that runs a lot longer. I cut that shit. It's an ad for a gold company. I'm sparing everyone the rest of the ad, but Candace really is hitting the grift hard and selling on the back of stories with her supposed friends. She actually got her sponsor, Goldco, to let her use a website especially for it. CandaceLikesGold.com. To push the precious metals. I went to that site, of course, and it was the typical gold seller site with the typical claims about inflation and collapse. But at least they actually do sell gold and other metals. Some of these sites just sell you the metals on paper with a note that you're holding is in a secure location. So at least there's that. They are selling physical gold.
Well, that's good at least. Yeah.
But Candace can't let an exclusive die, so we get more about her supposed friendship. But before that, if anyone is actually interested in buying gold from CandaceLikesGold.com, apparently if you buy whatever, you get 10% of your value back in silver as well.
Oh, well, that's not bad as far as those sorts of things go.
I mean, if you're the kind of sucker that's going to buy gold and not, go learn a useful skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean... Anyway, so we do get more about her supposed friendship.
All right, guys, crazy. That was a crazy announcement that I just have this time capsule with Ye. It's crazy to listen to this. I'm only going to give you a minute of it right now because we are so out of time. And really, this episode is just announcing that I'm back. And also, I want to double check with him that he's okay with this time capsule. It's really remarkable to hear what he is saying now in the retrospect. And that sometimes the time things sound totally insane. And then when you listen to it backwards, you hear where his heart was at. So take a listen to this little tease.
Now, she's supposedly playing this clip without his direct permission to what? Tease her listeners or attract more viewers. Isn't that the same shit he was accusing people like her of doing a couple years ago?
Yeah.
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 I'm pretty sure it was. Anyway, here's the clip.
Sir.
There is a way to appeal to both sides and find that place of happiness. There's things where like Trump and Biden had a lot of places where they aligned when I looked at their policies. So I'm really interested in really bringing happiness back to the world, bringing joy back to the world. But we have to call people on what they're doing for there to be happiness in the world. We can't just say, oh, it's okay for people to like super complicate deals and to collude on deals and to not look at us as human beings, as artists and athletes and actors, that we have to be willing to like stand up for that to be able to change something. And we need to come together as a society to be the first civilization that actually became civil, to stop war. Like people, it's a possibility of having a worldless world where the human species is not at war with each other, but we are more sophisticated because of social media, because of the information that we have now. And we got to have people like us and God using us to push that to the next side. And we got to get control of our country. We have to get control of our family. And right now there has been an agenda in the media and in politics to remove God, remove the family, and remove our country from us. So it's time for us to take control again. And God's on our side, so that's what's going to happen. I've got faith in that. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. So, Candace spends the last couple minutes of the first episode patting herself on the back, hawking her mugs and Club Candace, and thanking her audience for being there. You have thoughts?
Does he smoke?
Probably.
Okay.
I mean, he lives in California, so
okay,
it's totally legal, which means, and for a lot of these chuckle fucks, it's not a sin.
See, the reason why I ask if he smokes isn't because of any hatred towards any smokers at all. It's just the ramble that I just heard. I swear I've heard come out of a stoner before.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And the whole we could find unity through social media. By God's grace.
Even though all signs point to social media does not bring people together necessarily.
It brings algorithms together, but when those algorithms try to bleed over into each other,
it's not great.
No, that's like expecting the KKK member algorithm to mesh well with the Black Lives Matter algorithm.
Yeah.
They're going to meet each other right in the middle with fists.
Yeah. So, that was all just Monday of last week.
That was just Monday.
That was just Monday of last week. Yeah. This is Friday.
Yeah.
That said, I can tell you that she absolutely talked more about the split with the Daily Wire network. The title of her next show was The Real Reason I Got Fired. Candace went on to explain that it was her work on actually showing some humanity on the genocide in Gaza. Now listen, I don't like Candace Owens, and that much should be clear to listeners by now. But just as Alex Jones and Tucker and others can be occasionally correct in their views on occasion, I want to give Candace some credit here. Let the kitty back in.
Yep.
Since the Gaza genocide started, she has been critical of Israel. She had people on her show that were speaking truth about the genocide, including how Palestinians were pushed into striking against Israel. Candace has been consistent and shown some spine on this issue, and I want to commend it. She went on Piers Morgan on, I think, Thursday of her first week, or Wednesday night of her first week back, and defended her stance on genocide while at the same time repeating very, very wrong opinions on things such as vaccines. So it was a mixed bag, to say the least. She rounded out the week with an actual good interview with someone that claimed she was let go from The Hill, which is a left-leaning publication, for saying many of the same things that Candace was regarding the Gaza genocide. So the rest of the week was a bit of a roller coaster. But I can already tell that the next episode is going to be wild based on the title of the Monday episode of this week. One of the things Piers Morgan called her out on was Candace's recent claim that the First Lady of France, Brigitte Macron, is a trans woman. And that seems to be the focus of Candace's current Monday episode. So I'm not looking forward to that, but I will do my job here and listen to it, research what I have to, and provide clips. Now, that all being said, I actually listened to that episode earlier today. Mm-hmm. Actually, yesterday. I listened to an even more, if you can believe it, dumber episode today.
I could believe it.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to hear about it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, you're going to hear about it because it's bleh. But, I listened to that one yesterday, and, it's batshit insane, and, of course, I went and looked it up ahead of time of having to listen to it again. And, the claim came out like 2 or 3 years ago about Brigitte Macron, And the only sites that seem to have followed it up at all are France's version of the MAGA crowd.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to touch this story because it's stupid and wrong.
I feel like of all the things to focus on with the French, maybe the kind of French Revolution that's going on.
Yeah,
currently.
there's other reasons to, they could pick any other reasons to hate Macron, but none of them are working, so they're going after the dumbest possible thing, which also isn't working because it's stupid, and anyone that looks at it for 5 seconds is like, oh, fuck off. Which Piers Morgan called her out on that. I don't like Piers Morgan either, but at least he was like, come on.
Yeah.
Now, one of the other things that happened on the Piers Morgan show is off camera, when Candace was talking about it on her own show, she claimed to have 2 degrees in journalism. And Piers Morgan was like, you don't have a degree in journalism. And then she comes on her show and says she has 2. No, she fucking doesn't. She never graduated college. She left in her junior year because of, they say it was money, but I've heard and read different things about it over time.
Mm-hmm.
But the official stance is that she ran out of money for college. Now, that can happen.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that can't happen. I've known people who had to leave college courses. They were 3 years in. They had to leave for a couple years to get their money situation straightened out.
Yeah, yeah. I used to work with
or just live. Yeah, there's people that just leave because they want to live. It's whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for everyone, but yeah, no, she does not have a degree in journalism.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't have a degree. Period. And I say that as someone who also does not have a fucking degree. But I'm not going to claim to be a journalist either. I could have gone to school for that. I tried to get into the military for it, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
But shit wasn't working out. I was making a lot of money bartending and cooking. So guess what I fucking went and did? I don't regret it.
Yeah.
I've never regretted a single day, especially when I see what journalists have to actually put up with. So... moving on. It's well known that Candace is a transphobe, but again, her consistency on the topic even extends to trans bigots like Blair White. So look forward, or not, to that bit of bullshit next week. Now, let's cleanse our fucking palates with a questionable beverage, the last of our WT Heck line for now. Tonight, the last of the beverages in this line, until we go and get more eventually, is WT Heck Soda's Waffles and Syrup. You want to open that up?
Yep, I'll give it a crack. These things are twist tops. I know. Dude, they are.
Just use a towel or something.
Well,
here, you got a shirt over here, whatever the hell this is.
Oh, yeah, my Velociraptor shirt.
Yeah. Am I going to have to do this?
I feel it moving, but...
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, that's
all
not
right.
fucking budging.
All right, here, you hold that. You hold the mic.
All right.
Don't touch anything. All right. Get it?
There we go.
Oh. I mean, that's... Look, the accuracy of the smell of their products has always been interesting.
Mm-hmm. Squish, don't claw me.
She's like, what is people doing? Cat's looking for a lot of attention right now. Okay. So. It's got kind of a cream soda smell to it. Here, finish me off. All right.
All right.
Smells good. Okay, let's go for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a cream soda.
Yeah.
But I'm getting the maple syrup.
Yeah.
I'm getting the waffly.
Yeah, I'm getting the maple syrup. Yeah.
They got the waffle bread flavor in there. You know how you soak a waffle in maple syrup?
Yeah. Like the waffle on the very bottom of the stack is just saturated. Yeah, it tastes like that. Which honestly is a good fucking flavor.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
I'm glad we decided to end the WT Heck line that we have.
With this, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Mm-hmm. I might actually go out of my way to buy some.
Hey, your store sells them.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have any final thoughts on this before we wrap up?
People are weird. Yay, especially.
Yeah.
Also, I want to know why is fucking Elon Musk mentioned in there?
Oh, because he's a Russophile too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And okay.
Uh-huh.
Elon Musk is his own bag to unpack.
Yeah. Well,
Yay.
Elon's been he's been allowing all kinds of crazy shit to happen to Ukraine with both Twitter and Starlink. There was a story that ran months ago about how like Elon had shut off Starlink internet access to Ukraine.
Okay.
Because the Ukrainian military was using the Starlink satellites to, defend themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, there's that, which again, that's understandable as to why he's on the. If there is a list that.
Oh, the list exists.
Okay.
It's a real list, but yeah, it's not an enemies list. It's not a fucking hit list.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's these people are not our friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
It's more there to solidify that we see you and you're a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that. But also, and you're probably right. It's just that little bit of a teaser jack off thing of, hey, I've got this exclusive interview with Ye.
Yeah.
Because as much as she calls it just a time capsule podcast, it's a fucking exclusive interview with Ye.
Yeah. Yeah. From like
But
2 years
what-
ago when
it
he was at
doesn't-
his shittiest.
But
He couldn't do an interview with her on the Daily Wire.
Yeah.
So at that time, he went to InfoWars,
Okay.
where he wore not a face mask. It was like he wore like a thneed.
Fuck is a thneed?
You remember the Lorax?
Yeah.
He basically wore like a head covering. It looked like he was wearing like a sweater that was too big. Because it all kind of like was one unit. Yeah.
Honestly, I've seen how Ye like dresses on a regular. That just sounds like a normal piece of his wardrobe.
I mean, it might be. It might have been something that he was pushing or got pushed on him. Like, yeah, sure, I'll wear that.
Yeah.
I'll be on InfoWars. They've got millions of viewers.
That
Yeah.
would make sense.
Yeah.
But that little snippet of him talking about like achieving world peace.
Yeah.
He sounded stoned. Secondly, that's just how he sounds, isn't it? That's the face you're making right now. That's just how he sounds.
Unless he's stoned all the time.
That's just how he sounds.
Yeah.
Is it just me or just? And I'm not aiming to insult anybody here, but he sounds like a child.
Yeah, no, he talks like a child. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When I saw him on his Family Feud appearance way back, and he looked like a kid that had won the lottery.
Okay.
Because he always wanted to be on Family Feud, especially with Steve Harvey, and he had his family with Kim Kardashian, his wife at the time, and like a few others. Yeah. And they were whoever they were against. I don't know. I was watching him because I was like, well, he looks like he's really enjoying himself. This is actually kind of funny. And yeah, he was totally enjoying himself.
All right.
Yeah. Like he's just he is. I think that's and it's like to watch him be who they've crafted.
Yeah.
It's kind of heartbreaking because it's like this dude shouldn't be manipulated like this.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the many reasons why Kim Kardashian divorced him.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing for like them to be married and for her to tolerate a lot of shit. But it's another thing when he's got literal white supremacist neo-Nazis in his ear.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah. And that, like I said, there's no fucking way she doesn't know Nick Fuentes and hasn't seen the Christ is King shit.
Yeah.
There's no way.
But also with Ye.
Yeah.
He's doing the second that was his meeting. He's talking about world peace and all that. Doesn't explain a single bit. And I know it's just 1 minute from the whole. What did she say? 3-4 hours?
I don't know.
Okay, from the however hours long video she did. As to why he had tweeted
DEFCON 3.
DEFCON 3.
Yeah. I don't know. I think she might release that as like a sweeps week kind of thing, like when she finally does that, if Ye gives her the permission to, because there was a thing he had said back around that same time, that he was tired of people using him.
Yeah.
And they were hanging out. They had produced White Lives Matter shirts and shit.
Okay.
That they produced, I think, at Paris Fashion Week.
Okay.
They may have just been pushing them there. I don't know if they brought them out then or not. I wasn't really paying attention at that time. It's just something that's locked in the back of my fucking head. Yeah. But like they were hanging out together and shit for a while. Like like I think that she might have been among the many people that he was concerned were using him at the time.
Yeah.
But again, I don't really know, and it's if he shows up more with her stuff, I'll have to look more into it. Mm-hmm. But as it is, I'm just trying to stay like current. On her. Current on her right now. And of course, we take our trips back to the past at the start of the show. We get as much in that as we can, and then we move into this crap. Now, that all being said, anytime Candace runs an ad, we'll play it once, but then I don't want to play it again.
Yeah.
You know, like in the future, if she has this gold ad again, I'm just be like, well, it's Candace's gold ad, moving on.
Yeah.
You know, the same with the preborn ads. She does run them quite a bit. There's no reason to go back into that. I want to stay current with her. And fortunately, one of the things she does that I don't really feel the need to include unless it's something really egregious is she does, after this first episode, on all of her subsequent episodes, she spends several minutes of the 37-minute runtime on average that she has. She spends several minutes talking about comments on the last video.
Ah.
Yeah, which is, you know, a wonderful use of one's time.
Yeah.
What that does for me, thank you, Candace, it has allowed me to go, all right, I can skip this.
Yeah.
Because most of the time I don't need to hear somebody blowing her up, because that's generally all she reads. She doesn't read anything negative, which has to be there.
Yeah.
There's no way you have 2 million views on YouTube and there aren't people with negative opinions.
Oh,
especially for her.
Well, I mean,
yeah. Like,
yeah.
the existence of this show. That being said, I haven't commented on her shit because I refuse to look at it on my YouTube premium.
I'm not fucking my YouTube again.
Yeah, no. So, you know, I'm not, yeah. Like, I use a different podcast source to pull these episodes down, and then I go through a process on my computer to pull the clips.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, on my computer that is tied into the Thomas Anderson identity.
Mm-hmm.
Right to the point that I redid the hard drive before I ever started this.
Really?
Yeah. This computer is entirely... Yeah, this computer is entirely a Thomas Anderson computer. I clean slated it. I nuked it from space.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was an effort that I put forth for all of that. But speaking of putting forth effort, while we waited to get this done tonight, I spent the time and actually spent some time on the Squarespace site to get our site up and running, because it wasn't, and it looked like crap, and now it looks better than crap. It's gishgallopgirl.com. There are links on there to a lot of major podcast providers for this show, as well as our Patreon and our Patreon and my email address for the show. If there's enough of a push, I'll set one up for you.
Okay.
And we can do that. We can set up to like 100 emails on our Google plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will set up that if there's enough of a push for people that want to write to you.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to access it from your phone. I can set all that shit up. But yeah, matter of fact, I might do that anyway in the next couple of days, just because.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't. Like, I see the thing growing. We grew exponentially over this last week, and that was awesome. Yeah.
How
Yeah.
much?
According to Podbean, which tracks our stats, we went up in one day by 600%.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it went from like 10 listens to like 50 in an afternoon.
That's
awesome. Very cool. It's very cool. And looking at the spread, people were actually listening to like the whole run of episodes up to that point. Yeah, so like they started at 1 and they went to the current.
That's awesome.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
We don't have any Patreons yet, but the way to get there was kind of clunky. I streamlined that. For whatever reason, I had left it as what Patreon gave me when I signed up, which was Thomas Anderson 80. Like patreon.com/Thomas Anderson 80. And I was like, that is clunky. I was looking at it, I was like, it should be Gish Gallop Girl. So I went through the process of making it Gish Gallop Girl earlier, tested the link, it's all fine.
Okay.
So so all of that is up. I have left the donation page at just $1 a month. If I get emails or people reach out via Mastodon and say, hey, we want to give you more money, I'll set up other levels. But for right now, $1 a month is just where I'm comfortable with us getting this. Basically, we would need about, I think, $100 or so a year to start with to not lose money on this.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like I said, so all of that's up and running. If anybody wants to check it out, please feel free to. I'll be doing more with the website over time, including setting up a wiki for the various cast of characters we're going to have to deal with on a regular basis with this lady. That's it, though. That's all I got. You got anything else?
Not really, no.
Okay. All right. Right on.
Aside from that, that soda was pretty damn good.
Yeah, and it's got the aftertaste of syrup and waffles as well, which is to say my mouth is extremely dry right now.
Yeah.
I've been drinking water bottles during Candace clips, and that thing just sucked it all the way. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're very accurate as always. WT Heck, incredibly accurate sodas.
We ever gonna try blue cheese?
We are not.
Okay.
No, they had their chance. I'm standing firm on that. They had their fucking chance. They had one chance to destroy our mouths, and they did not do it. So they had their shot. That's it. So yeah, that's it for now, guys. Have a great whatever it is for you. Bye.
Ciao.